Ancient Greece, cradle of Western civilization. Around the 8th century BC, Greece began to emerge from the Dark Ages. Its economy, especially foreign trade, was boosted with trading establishments established in many places. The rapid growth of the Greek population, while the land was limited, led to the migration of Greeks to all regions of the Mediterranean, especially southern Italy. Here they established new cities independent of their hometowns. Thus, by the 7th century BC, Greek colonies covered almost the entire Mediterranean coast, from the Ionian Sea to the Atlantic Ocean, including the Crimea and the coast of modern Turkey. The developed economy made Greece very rich. The basic administrative unit in ancient Greece was the city-states. Often conflicts arose between the city-states to compete for territory, but in the constant warfare, two city-states of Athens and Sparta had the most powerful influence on the history of ancient Greece. In the early period, the city-states followed a monarchy, but later, especially in Athens, democracy was established. However, democracy in ancient Greece was very different from today because only male citizens had the right to vote. Women, foreigners, and slaves were not allowed to participate in politics. Ancient Greece was also one of the first societies where slavery flourished. Slaves were everywhere in Greek society. They were used in agriculture, mining, fishing, and domestic work. Prisoners of war were usually enslaved. There were also many people who were born into slavery. The number of slaves in Athens alone reached nearly 80,000. The wealth and strength of the Greek city-states were demonstrated through their extensive trade and their powerful navy. By the 6th century BC, Athens had become the center of a maritime empire. Its navy dominated the Aegean Sea. The conflict between the Greeks and the Persians soon broke out. In 490 BC, Greece defeated the invading Persians at the famous Battle of Marathon. A few decades later, the Persians invaded again. In 480, the Persians suffered a heavy defeat in the naval battle of Salamis. These battles affirmed the great military power of Greece. After the Persian War, the Macedonian kingdom rose to power in northern Greece. Under King Alexander the Great, the Greeks had extensive expansions into Egypt, Persia, and India. His conquests spread Greek cultural influence more widely than ever before. This period is known as the Hellenistic period. Alexander the Great died in 323 BC. After that, his empire disintegrated into many small kingdoms. The Ptolemies established their dynasty in Egypt. The Seleucids controlled the kingdoms in Asia Minor and Mesopotamia. The Antigonids took over the Peloponnese and the Aegean Islands. In the meantime, Rome was gradually becoming more powerful. By the middle of the 2nd century BC, Rome had become the dominant power in the Mediterranean. Greece became a province of Rome, but the cultural influences of ancient Greece were maintained and developed. Greek culture had a profound influence on Rome and modern Western civilization. Greek mythology, a collection of many legends about gods such as Zeus, king of the gods, Hera, queen of the gods, Athena, goddess of wisdom, Apollo, god of light, the arts and knowledge, and so on. These stories have had a major impact on world literature and art. Greek philosophy is the foundation of Western philosophy. The ancient Greeks were interested in almost every aspect of philosophy, from the nature of the world to ethics, politics, and knowledge. Famous Greek philosophers include Thales, the first person considered to be a philosopher, Plato, the founder of the Academy, and Aristotle, the tutor of Alexander the Great and the author of many treatises on various subjects. Greek mathematics and science also achieved many brilliant achievements. Master scientist Pythagoras contributed greatly to the development of mathematics. His theorem is still taught to students today. Archimedes was an inventor and mathematician who discovered the value of pi. He is considered one of the greatest scientists of all time. The Greeks were also pioneers in astronomy. They made significant advances in geography, medicine, and mechanics. Greek architecture achieved many great achievements. Typical works include the Parthenon Temple, Olympia relics, Delphi with a series of other temples, squares, theaters, stadiums. These works were built to worship the gods of the Greeks and were often grandiose and magnificent. Many works of Greek architecture have survived to this day, demonstrating the genius of the ancient Greeks. Greece is also the birthplace of the first Olympic Games. The Olympic Games were held every 4 years in the city of Olympia. The first Olympic Games were held in 776 BC. At first, the Olympic Games were a religious festival in honor of Zeus, but later it became a large-scale sports event. The Olympic Games were canceled in the 4th century AD when the Roman Empire fell. They were revived in 1896 and are now held every 4 years in a different country. The modern Olympic Games are the largest international sporting event in the world. The ancient Greeks were a civilized society with many achievements in culture, art, science, and sports. Their contributions have had a profound impact on human history. The ancient Greeks were a warrior race, and they loved freedom. They were also a peaceful nation. They believed that war was necessary to maintain order and balance in the world. They fought against the Persians and the barbarians, and they won. They were also a commercial nation. They had a large fleet of ships, and they traded with the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, and the Carthaginians. They were also a democratic nation. They had the first democracy in the world, and they believed that all men were created equal. The ancient Greeks were a polytheistic religion. They believed in many gods and goddesses, and they worshipped them in temples and sanctuaries. They believed that the gods and goddesses lived on Mount Olympus, and they controlled the world. The ancient Greeks were a highly cultured people. They wrote epic poems and tragedies, and they performed them in theaters. They also built beautiful temples and statues, and they decorated them with intricate carvings. They were also a highly skilled people. They invented the alphabet, and they developed many new technologies. They were also a highly educated people. They founded the first schools and universities, and they encouraged the study of philosophy and science. The ancient Greeks were a great people, and they left a lasting legacy to the world. Their contributions to art, science, and culture are still celebrated today, and their story is a reminder of the power of human imagination and creativity. Now you have unlocked another achievement. Keep watching our videos, and you will have more knowledge to be proud of. See you next time.